Hello, and welcome to my ImagineFX workshop. My name is Gillian, and I'm a freelance artist in the Philippines who loves to draw backgrounds and environment. Today, I'll be walking you through the process on how I paint an environment using shapes and color. So before we begin, I would like to share to you some of my tools introduction, using the lasso tool and my brushes, and lastly, how to break down the shapes of a reference. I created this brushes specifically for my paintings, and this will be the first time that I'm going to share it publicly, so I hope you will enjoy using these. The ink brush. I created this brush to help me make line sketches in a painting and solid coloring. I also turn on its color jitter adjustment sometimes, so the brush can have its color varieties in a single stroke. Soft Noise Textured Brush. It's a brush inspired from Qtea's soft noise brush. Devin Kurtz helped me figure out this brush since I want to create my own variety of a soft brush with a noisy texture. I use this for painting the background and adding a noisy soft texture on certain subjects in a painting. It can also be used for shading. The Coloring Textured Brush. I hand-drawn this brush so it can create a hatching and cross-hatching shading. It's best paired with a color jitter setting turned on so you can see its texture. So to turn on the color jitter for the brush, simply go to the brush settings and check color dynamics. You can adjust the hue jitter, the saturation jitter, and brightness jitter to create color variations for your color strokes. And yeah, I think that's it. I use this for the ink brush and coloring textured brush the most. So one of the tools I use in painting is the lasso tool. It's one of the handiest tools I've ever got to use, especially on digital painting. So I can't wait to show you how to use it. You simply press L in the keyboard or click it in the toolbar that looks like a cowboy's lasso rope and start drawing your shape. Once drawn, a selection will appear and you can only draw in that selected area. You can press Ctrl plus D to deselect the selection, and you can press Ctrl plus H to hide the selection, so you can paint without seeing its selected lines. The lasso tool is used for freehand draw selection, and it can be super convenient for drawing curves. Next, we have the polygon lasso tool, which is under the lasso tool. Simply right-click on the lasso tool to see the polygon. It's like a geometric pen that can help you make sharp lines and shapes. Next is using the lasso tool with the shift key. It helps you create more selections than one, so while making selections, hold your shift key and draw those selections. You can also switch your lasso into a polygon lasso by still holding the shift key. Lastly, using the lasso tool with the Alt key. It helps you to cut out shapes and negative spaces that you don't want to have any selection to. Just like the Shift key, simply hold the Alt key to cut out the selections that you don't want. And yes, it can also be switched to the polygon tool as well. And there you have it, our mini lasso tutorial. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to break down shapes. This is one of the important steps in my painting process, so I'll show you how it's done. So we first observe our reference and look for the biggest shape. So here's the biggest shape on observation, and now medium shapes, and finally the small ones. There are also some leftover medium and semi-medium shapes. So breaking it down, this will help you become faster in painting, because your process will be like starting from the biggest shape and going down to the smallest ones. In that way, you won't be just focusing on details, but you will focus on the whole painting. So let's start our painting. Before we begin, I would like to introduce you to our painting reference first. A bit of storytelling is this house are owned by my friends. It feels like a Ghibli type of house because they have over 18 cats living with them. I really love the huge window at their second floor, and their house is also filled with various types of plants. I decided to paint this house because it's one of those happy places that I go to. The whole process of this painting took almost 3 hours since I'm also saving my process so I can share it step by step photos. I hope you will enjoy learning and watching me paint this. So let's start with our painting. As you notice, I prepared my canvas based on my paint over plan on the lower left beside my other paintings as my reference guide, and the main reference above them. I inserted a golden ratio as my composition guide, learned how to make one from Julian Aristide's book titled Classical Drawing Atelier. I'll also be inserting a video link here in the screen, a tutorial on how to digitally make a golden ratio in case you want to make one for yourself. The composition guide is optional for the painting process since I just want to add certain elements in a painting that needs this guide. I then drew this diamond guide based from the golden ratio to help me place certain additional elements in the painting, and which you can also see from my paint over guide, and we'll see it fully later on. So I started priming my canvas by putting a rich navy blue color using my soft textured brush. Then I added orange accents to it and start blending them together with the blue background. I don't want it to be a loud orange since I just wanted to give a bit of accent colors of the warm lighting in which you'll see later. I added a light blue color to set the sky's atmosphere. I added an enlarged light blue color and set its layer mode to overlay. Next, we draw the biggest shape of the house using the polygon lasso tool and started to paint inside the selection its shape. I'm still using the soft textured noise brush and switch into my inky brush. I started to add the lighting color variations, which is a warm yellow color and some blue colors. I started to blend them together with my soft noise textured brush. I then added a new layer below our biggest shape and then started to paint the medium shape, which is the house beside our main object, and then set our grass ground local color. Using the lasso and polygon tool, I began to sketch the foreground. I drew a quick tree, leaves, and plant shapes. I darkened its color so it looks like it's framing our main subject, which is the White House. Next, we start on drawing our medium shape bases with the polygon lasso tool and coloring it with the soft noise textured brush. We're going to set out base colors first, and that will change throughout the process based on our observation and painting of the reference. I drew the shadow shapes and building shapes as medium shapes of our painting. You will notice that I keep adding a lot of color varieties in the medium shapes. I do this to remind myself that I want to put different colors in them but still maintaining how the colors will look in the final painting. If you notice I only drew in shapes, that is because I find this process much easier than doing line art. As our painting progress, it changes a lot, so be patient with it. If it doesn't look okay at the beginning, it'll be wonderful when you reach around like 70% of your painting. Art takes time, so you got to be patient and just enjoy the process. Appreciate how you think on your colors. So here is the mini coloring lesson. I use the formula of warm versus cool colors, meaning I'm using cool colors as my shadows because of the blue sky, and my warm colors as my lighting since it's a direct sunlight. I kept adding color varieties to my warm colors and cool colors by opening the brush settings of the main brush I'm using and turning on the color dynamics and adjusting the hue jitter. If you want reference for this again, go back to how I use my brushes mini tutorial in this part of the video. There are times that I turn off the latest paint over layer to see how far I have done so far, to see how the painting has changed from the beginning, and this just makes me happy to see how far my progress has been. Remember that no matter how small your progress is, it still counts. I learned from Marco Bucci's YouTube the skill of designing abstract shapes for paintings. I decided to add shape varieties in the shadow above the biggest window, so it'll be the first thing you'll notice in the painting than anything else. I also suggest that when you're painting, you don't zoom in much, so you won't focus on just specific details of the painting, but you'll focus on the painting as a whole. You want to see how it'll turn out as a whole and not just on one specific thing of the painting, but to see it as a whole. I decided to have the roof in different colors of indigo and dark oranges. Notice that I didn't really draw the roof how it is because I just want the viewers to see the information of the roof and let their brains fill the information instead. I started to paint the window and add different reflections colors to it to give it an impressionistic approach. I also painted the window shadows with purple to blue, basing the shadows on how I did it in with the house shadows. After the house, I began to focus on painting the objects inside the entranceway. There are piles of plants within it, and I don't want to put too much details into it since I just want it to be like a subtle element that doesn't overpower our main subject, which is the house. I began to doodle the grass foliage as well. I don't really like it at this stage, so I'll change it even more later on when I get back to it after thinking of a solution how to fix it. I then jumped into painting the foreground, which is the trees. They are painted in a much darker value, so it looked like it's framing the house. I added a bit of vibrant colors to the foreground leaves to suggest some light entering to them. I then started to add the cats by just doodling them in the scene. I'm going to use the diamond guide and golden ratio to neatly place them in the composition. I know, I'm sorry I didn't turn off the guide. I think the guide really helped me figuring out where to place certain elements of the painting, like how I'll place the windows and the roofs. So it's really a really important guide, and I encourage you guys to learn how to use the golden ratio because it's such a lifesaver to use that in every painting you do. I then painted the girl in the painting. I want her to look like she's entering or going to visit this house. So it looks like she's a visitor who wants to see the cats holding a basket. Like she's going to give them a gift or she's going to bond with them later. After painting her local colors, I then put a multiply layer mode to her and set her values as same as the foreground. I started to doodle some additional foliage coming out from the window, roof, and balcony area. I then started to paint on the clouds. I decided to add my friend's late kitten in the cloud silhouette. She recently passed away and her name is Diona. I want her to be in the painting so we won't forget her, and I hope she's happy in cat heaven. Onto the finishing touches, adjusting the color using the curves in the color adjustments tab below the layer. It looks like a circle with its below half filled, so click it and select curves. I used curves to push the color saturation a bit more and use the color adjustments again and added a color lookup so I can give it a filter finish. And we're almost done. Here is the before and after of it. I also added a Gaussian blur to it by merging all layers, blurring them with the Gaussian blur, lowering it to opacity, and then erasing some parts to highlight so not everything is blurred. I also added a few additional elements in the painting, like my two yellow girl travelers standing in the biggest window and a chair in the balcony, and that's it. I just noticed that the biggest window's perspective doesn't look good, so I began to fix it after recording. Here is the before and after of it. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this workshop. Let me know your thoughts about this through my socials in my link included in the article. And I hope you enjoyed painting this environment and adding the cats. I actually enjoyed painting the cats in this painting a lot, and I learned a lot from reviewing this reference as well. I hope you take a thing or two from this workshop and have a great day. Thank you so much and happy painting!